once again, I'm meteorologist Chris McGinness. We are streaming this Facebook segment live to you to take some of your questions as we continue to deal with the fallout, the smoke from our devastating wildfires here across the Pacific Northwest. I wanted to kind of go through a couple graphics real quick and also let you know that we are taking some of your questions. So as you follow along on our live stream right now, please feel free to ask, and we'll get to as many of them right now during our live segment as we can. The story this morning, aside from, of course, the fires are still burning, some of the evacuation level orders have been dropped back a little bit. But it's important to know that areas that were under level 3 evacuation notices, those have been unchanged since yesterday. And I urge people to go to kgw.com for the absolute latest on the fire positions and the level of evacuations that exists here across the KGW News viewing area. Obviously, there's still a major concern here. The concern for all of us, of course, is also the smoke and the very poor air quality. And this morning, the fog that has also settled into the area. The map that I've got behind me here is the visibility across the region. And you can see from Chehalis all the way down through Hillsborough, Aurora, Salem, we are down to zero visibility. And if I go out just a little bit wider here and show you that even the Oregon coast is dealing with some very murky weather. Zero visibility at Tillamook. The visibility in Newport has been teetering between a quarter mile and a half mile. Looks like it's up to about 3/4 at last check. Look at Eugene right now. Zero visibility in smoke and fog. We have a dense fog advisory for everywhere that you see in this gray shading until at least 11 o'clock. That includes the entire Portland metro area and basically the I-5 corridor all the way down into the Eugene area. It also includes basically the central and north Oregon coast and the lower Columbia River from Portland all the way out to Astoria. And then on top of that, of course, we are dealing with a dense smoke advisory for all of these areas shaded in yellow. That goes through at least 6 p.m. today. So we've got the combination of the smoke and the fog, the stagnant air that is just making things very unhealthy. So the air quality advisory, our whole map is shaded in gray. That's all of Washington, all of Oregon, a good chunk of Idaho. Locally, that air quality advisory extends until at least noon on Monday. There's a good chance that as you get out towards central and eastern Oregon, that will probably be extended some even beyond, because the air quality for you folks is likely to remain reduced for a couple of days beyond, even if we get some relief in the western part of the state. I do want to quickly get to at least one or two questions just to let you know we are answering them, and I wanted to get into them. So Janet Land sent us this morning. She asked, if rain starts to fall through this very thick smoke, could the rain be so acidic that it causes damage to metal structures or irritate our skin? The simple question to that, I'm going to say is no. I mean, irritate our skin. Look, our eyes and our ears and our senses, how we breathe in the air and whatnot, we're already irritated from the smoke, so that's not going to change. The rain, though, I wanted to kind of do a little deeper dive into this. Our average rainfall, or I should say our average pH, measure of acidity of our rainfall here in Oregon, is on the order of about 5.4. And I've got up behind me the pH scale. This is from the USGS. 7, of course, being neutral. The average pH of normal, quote-unquote, normal Oregon rain is about 5.4. It's possible that as we're just emitting all this carbon and we're creating some carbonic acid as the rain falls, that we get, a slight shade lower than that. But our soils can absorb that, and that stuff will be neutralized, and it's not overly likely that we're running into a situation where we have damaging runoff into streams. Now, if this continued, indefinitely, that might be a different story, but at least from the perspective of where we are now, I don't think so. Janet, I hope that answered your question. Some more questions coming in. So let's see. Is some of the haze fog related? Renee Floyd Thompson. Yes, it absolutely is. I mean, we have one of the interesting things about the smoke that we're getting right now is that it is so thick that it is lowering our temperatures so much and keeping us from really mixing out the low level moisture, right? So our temperatures are holding real close to the dew point, which of course means the air is pretty close to being saturated. So the short answer to your question, Renee, is yes. Our air is pretty close to being saturated, so there's a lot of fog out there, but there's a lot of smoke in it too. And not only that, but with the smoke kind of trapped below about 12,000 feet or so, it's got nowhere to go. So we've got a lid on our atmosphere right now, and the smoke that is still being generated by these fires is just basically filling our room, if you will, with smoke. There's no wind to mix it out, and with the temperature inversion likely kind of holding up around 700 millibars or so, up around 10,000 feet or a little higher, it's going to take a front. It's going to take a wind shift to actually get this mixed out. And we think that happens a little bit later on tomorrow night and Tuesday, and I can get into that in a second. Let me show you the air quality, by the way, across the region. This is the latest outlook from the DEQ, and you can see all of these purple and maroon colors on here. The purple or the magenta representing very unhealthy air, and some of these maroons on here now include the Portland metro area. Maroon is hazardous, right? I mean, anything over about 300 or so for an AQI is hazardous, and you can see that across the entire Pacific Northwest, I mean, nobody really is enjoying any good air quality, and I even think that those green dots that we see up in the southern central Washington Cascades might be a little suspect. They might be poor sensors, or maybe there's just a little pocket of air where the smoke hasn't gotten to. But you can see the lion's share of air quality sensors here across the Pacific Northwest are in some degree of bad. How bad? I took this snapshot from the website airnow.gov. It's a great resource to kind of look at some of the local sensors where you are. Our assistant news director, John Tierney, just said, "Oh, that's great. That one's right near my house." This sensor coming in from southeast Portland, measuring the PM 2.5 particulate matter 2.5 microns at 500 over 500 micrograms per cubic meter. That is incredibly unhealthy air. Everything that we've heard from health professionals that we've talked to the last couple of days has recommended that people do not go outside under these conditions. Now, of course, you know, I know folks have to go to the grocery store and whatnot, but limit your trips. If you do go outside, wear a mask. A bandana is not good enough to filter out this particulate matter. You need to wear something. You need to wear as many layers if you can. If you don't have access to a KN95 mask, but that's the recommendation: is a KN95 mask is best for filtering out this particulate matter. Real quick, you know what? I'll get into the smoke forecast in just a second. Let's see. Donnie. Hey, Donnie. Hopefully I answered your question yesterday, too, about and a little bit about that this morning, about the runoff and the pH with the rainfall. Donnie asks, when is the wind supposed to start, and will it be a westerly wind? Yes. Yes, it will be a westerly wind to some extent, and I think that probably comes in late tomorrow night or Tuesday as a weather system sweeps through. It'll be more like a southwest wind. That will help to push the source of our smoke, the immediate source of smoke, out to our east. However, there is smoke that has been pushed. The smoke plume has been pushed so far offshore that the wildfire smoke that we have right now is sort of mixing in with this system. So I don't want to give the illusion, I don't think that we're going to be back to like clear blue, bright sky or anything like that. There will still be, I think, some wildfire smoky haze in the air as we get into midweek, but it'll be more like, I think, what we were seeing like a week ago, where we just had kind of that high haze from wildfires that were burning a long ways away. The exception for that will be the folks that are right near the wildfires and immediately downstream or downwind of those. And as the wind shifts a little bit to west or southwesterly, that's going to take a lot of these smoke plumes. Remember, most of our fires right now are burning on the west slopes of the Cascades, the big ones. That's now going to start to deposit all of that smoke across central Oregon, the Columbia Basin, the Columbia Plateau. So folks out there, you get out towards Pendleton, at Hermiston and Arlington and into the Gorge and over towards Bend and Redmond and Prineville, your air quality may continue to suffer even as the western part of the state starts to clear out a little bit. And I wanted to go ahead and get into our smoke forecast now, so let's bring that up. This is Futurecast, and our smoke model's been doing a pretty good job of tracking the smoke throughout the region the last couple of days. This is the forecast for 5 p.m. this evening, and you can see there's not a lot of improvement in the I-5 corridor. The dark magenta represents the very thick smoke, the really high particulate smoke, the dangerous air. But as I roll the clock on Futurecast, you'll see that starts to push off to the north and east just a little bit, and we push the back edge of the really, really gnarly air right up to the I-5 corridor. And then as I roll the clock a little bit more, it looks like that kind of hovers there. Again, bullseyes around the areas that are still experiencing the intense fires, like the Riverside Fire in Clackamas County and Beachy Creek and Lions Head in Marion County. But wildfire smoke will have a tendency to be pushed to the east. And so that's what we think will improve the air quality to a large extent in the Willamette Valley, from Eugene up to Portland and on up into southwest Washington as well, the wind shift. Of course, what's good for us west of the mountains is not great, as we were mentioning, for folks east of the mountains, as they will probably continue to see that wildfire smoke being quite thick for days to come. Sandy Wise asks, can this smoke affect already bad lungs? Sandy, we've heard from, again, a number of healthcare professionals that it can affect good lungs. This particulate matter that gets in your lungs, it stays there. You don't just get rid of it, right? So it stays there, and it can have long-lasting health impacts. Again, this is for healthy people. So for people that are already compromised with asthma, emphysema, and other breathing ailments, this is absolutely a time to stay inside, to keep your windows closed, to keep your doors shut, and run your central air or your heating unit. Just put it on the fan only setting and just let that run continuously, because that will help to keep the air in your home somewhat filtered. The better quality filter that you have in your HVAC system, the better filtering you will do. We're fortunate to be able to put a MERV 13 filter in our system. MERV 13 is pretty good for filtering out particles, but mind you, not all systems can handle that type of reduction in intake. So getting into the weeds a little bit here, but consult your HVAC professional about your specific unit if you can upgrade the filter in your unit. All incoming, Kelly says, all incoming. You know what, Kelly, I'm going to check that right now. Kelly is just asking us about the airport. Do we know if flights are canceled at PDX? I'm going to go ahead and get on our website, or get on PDX's website in a second. Renee Thompson asking, will the smoke move over to Joseph, Oregon? Yes. I think it will. You see that Futurecast, Joseph, of course, out here in Wallowa County, Futurecast does pick up that smoke plume in that part of the state. So, again, east of the Cascades, I think it could be a little bit longer of a haul before we see some appreciable clearing. Let's talk about the rainfall chances, because I know that's the big thing, right? The wind shift and the rain, because we sorely need rain. This is Futurecast. Through the day today, we get an increase in cloud cover. Of course, that's going to be tough to see because we're all going to be shrouded in smoke. But there will be rain offshore. This is by lunchtime tomorrow. Futurecast has backed off the eastward progress of that rain, at least early on. It looked like maybe the beach could see some showers by lunchtime tomorrow. Maybe that doesn't happen. But as I roll the clock here, you do see that Futurecast brings in some light rain overnight, Monday night, and into Tuesday. I don't think this is a lot of rain, but it's enough to start to help scour out the air. And at the same time that we get some rain, we are going to get a wind shift. So the wind will be a little bit more southwesterly to westerly for some of us, and that will help to scour out the rain. Futurecast fast forwarding into Thursday at 7 o'clock. We've got a cutoff low that's offshore, and I know Matt talked in great length about this yesterday. The difficulty about forecasting a cutoff low is that it's not caught in the jet stream right now. So when we have a fast stream of air, we can kind of very nicely track a storm system. This low is just sitting in an eddy, and so it's taking its good old sweet time to get here. It will eventually get here, and we think right now modeling has that coming ashore Thursday. So I think Thursday and Thursday night right now stand to be our best opportunity to see a widespread soaking rain. And when I say soaking, I think anything over 1/4 inch of rain would be, at least for this time of year, considered a decent soaking rain. 1/4 to 1/2 inch is what some of our models are still suggesting. And we know we need it. This is a look at the latest drought monitor, updated daily. And you can see that bright red color, extreme drought impacting even more real estate here across portions of Oregon. That red area continues to grow. Severe drought impacts basically the entire Willamette Valley from Portland all the way down to the Eugene area. More questions. Did Beachy Creek? Michelle Lawrence asking, did Beachy Creek and the Riverside fires merge? Michelle, no. And the news actually yesterday was that is not a foregone conclusion that those fires will merge. It's still possible, but it's no longer a foregone conclusion that is going to happen. There are still level 1, 2, and 3 evacuation orders in and around the fire zones, and I urge everybody to go to our website, kgw.com. That is where we are keeping the latest up-to-date information on what level of evacuation status various communities are under. The headline from last night is that we've seen maybe some subtle improvement or some backing off of evacuation orders in parts of Clackamas County. But it's important to note that the level 3 evacuation orders, those still stand. None of those have changed. Consult your local municipality, or of course you can also, again, go to our website where we're updating that as fast as we get it. Jeannie Brickley, when can we use a window air conditioner? If you can shut off the outdoor intake and just use the recycled air, so instead of bringing in outside air and conditioning it, just flip the switch on your I'm assuming an in-window unit. Most of them have a toggle switch or some sort of a button that allows you to switch to just indoor air. You just recycle the air that's in your home. Do that. You do not want to be bringing in outdoor air. So everybody with window units should be doing that. And again, as we mentioned before, if you have central air or central heating unit, and even if you don't have central air, but you just have a heating unit, if you can set your fan only setting on and just let that run, you will help to run the air through the filter in your HVAC system. So again, a good plus there. When will air quality return to normal? Maria Alvarez asks. I think we get back to much more livable air in the Portland metro area by Tuesday. That said, we're going to have sporadic plumes of smoke from time to time from these fires. Remember that the rain that's coming in is not going to put these fires out. It will take weeks and weeks of steady rain and probably snow into the early winter before these fires are out. And that's typical for Pacific Northwest wildfires. So even though we get a little bout of rain this week, it's possible that we get a couple hot, dry days, say next week or beyond, a little wind shift, and we're right back into breathing in some wildfire smoke. Now that said, firefighters are making steady progress on that, and the weather will help to continue to suppress the fires. So we do not foresee any kind of explosive fire development west of the Cascades over the next several days, which, again, is certainly good news. That's the long answer to your question. I guess the short answer is we get back to what I think should be some breathable air on Tuesday, but as long as these fires are burning, and they're burning in close proximity to the high population centers of the Willamette Valley, a lot of us are still going to occasionally, from time to time, have to be dealing with poor air quality until these fires are out. Do humidifiers help settle particles? Jennifer, that's a really good question. So particles in the air are, and we need particles. By the way, we need dust for clouds and whatnot. That's called cloud condensation nuclei. Without it, we would just have water vapor. You wouldn't see it, right? So dust helps create clouds, but the amount of dust that we have now is obviously just floating around in the air and we're all breathing it in. Would a humidifier help in your home? I don't know that you would want to put a humidifier in your home right now. I think the best bet is to keep trying to filter it out. But would adding humidity to it, it may help. I can't claim to be an expert on that. But let me do a little research and get back to you. Morgan Hernandez says, somebody suggested to me who had lived through a volcanic eruption said to hang wet sheets over the windows and doors to collect small particles. Yeah, that is another form of a way that you can seal the outdoor air. Of course, you can't seal it. If you don't have tight seals on your windows and doors, that is something that you can do. If you can put a damp cloth down the door, that'll help mold that filtering material to the spot where the air is coming in, and yeah, it can help to catch some of the particulate matter. So yes, if you don't have tight seals on your windows and doors, that's an option too. Smoky air in our homes. I mean, we're telling everyone to stay in your homes right now, and you're in a home and you're getting smoke in your home. You're like, what do I do? Well, that is one thing that you can do to help limit the amount of wildfire smoky air that's getting into your home. Let's see. What other questions are we getting here? Tracy Grover asked, what are the chances of mudslides when we hit winter rain levels? Tracy, that's a great question. That's a question that we fielded yesterday too. I know a lot of people kind of have that top of mind when we do get into the rainy season. We know this. large burn scars produce, a big area of dead trees and a lot of mud exposed, right? We get heavy rain on top of that on hillsides, and inevitably it happens every year that exposed fire scars are subject to mudslides. What's interesting, and I remember really taking a close look at this during the 2017 Eagle Creek fire in the gorge, it doesn't necessarily always happen right away, especially if you don't get like just an onslaught, a deluge, like a fire hose, like a what we call the atmospheric river event. If we don't get one of those in the fall pointed right at us, but the rain just comes in gradually, it may not be apparent right away. And sometimes it takes a year. Because what happens is the plant material, the trees are all dead, but the roots down in the ground may still, they're not completely gone. But as they die, everything that holds the soil dies, those start to decompose, and then the soil becomes really loose. So sometimes it's year 2 and year 3 after a fire that the mudslides can become an even bigger threat. And again, we saw that during the Eagle Creek fire. I wouldn't be surprised this year if mudslides were an even bigger issue over the Eagle Creek fire burn scar than they were last year. So I hope that kind of answers your question, but I know that's a very popular topic, or I shouldn't say popular, but one that's just kind of synonymous with wildfires in the Pacific Northwest. Let's see, did we walk through, we did walk through Futurecast. Let's kind of give you just a little look at what's going on right now. That smoke, by the way, is obviously really keeping a lid on our temperatures, and it has for the last couple of days. If you were watching us last weekend, we thought that we would have several 90-degree days this week and maybe even the following week. Well, the smoke has taken a big bite out of that, right? It's basically absorbing all the daylight. And so our temperatures are actually way below average now the last couple of days. Our normal high this time of year is about 76, 77. Yesterday we were like 64. We're 53 right now here in Portland, and the big picture across the state, most of us, that are dealing with the wildfire smoke are cool. It looks like maybe you get out towards Rome, there might be a little bit more sunshine out there with temperatures up near 70 already. In any event, our 7-day forecast does keep us cool, and that rain chance, again, comes in late tomorrow night and into early Tuesday. I think we get a little break in the action Wednesday, and then Thursday looks like an even better bet for some more widespread rain. And we don't want to get all the rain at once. We don't want to get inches rain at once, because that wouldn't be good either. But what we need is days and days and days and days and days and days and days of rain. So we need our fall that we all know and love, most of us, to get here in a hurry. We're getting a little taste of it this week, but beyond, again, I don't see a parade of storms coming at us just yet. All right, let's, you know what, I'm going to, and I don't know if anybody on our web team has been able to answer this, so I'm going to, since this question continues to pop up online, I'm going to go ahead and check out PDX right now, because we are getting that question about flights at PDX. So let's just do a quick check out the airport and see if we are able to confirm anything that is going on at Fly PDX. That is their website, by the way. And what do we have now? Traveler info. And just looking to see if there's any alerts on their page right now. It's quite possible that they're in some delays because of really, really low visibility, low ceilings, and whatnot. I'm not seeing, let's see, I have... no, I mean, it looks like flights are arriving. There's a couple flights that have been canceled. A flight from Boise, a flight from Spokane on Alaska Airlines canceled. Alaska Airlines has canceled a few flights, although it looks like they are still having flights come. So I don't... it's just my short answer is right now, stay tuned. I don't have any official confirmation of that, but I would say at this point, no, the airport is not closed. So... lots of inbound. Okay. Hey, thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. Yeah. Probably, again, because of low ceilings, it's just very poor visibility. Let's go back to that visibility map right now as we work to get confirmation about PDX. It's bad. It's really bad. I'm gonna hop out of this. Mark, if you're listening to me real quick, I'm gonna pop back to our visibility map and show you this and see if it's improved at all. Because basically, since we went on the air at 6 o'clock this morning, it has been... yeah, it's been hovering right at that less than a tenth of a mile of the airport, which for all intents and purposes, I mean, you can't take off and land planes in that, or you can't land planes in that. right now we're looking at 0 visibility, Scappoose, Hillsborough, Aurora, McMinnville, Hood River down to a mile. Big picture here, not much change here. In fact, if anything, Salem, Corvallis, and Eugene are now all reporting 0 visibility, which also means that the conditions on the roadways are pretty bad as well. 0 visibility, it doesn't always mean that you can't see right in front of your face, but certainly if you're out driving on the roads, you cover a very short distance very quickly, the limit of what you can see, right? You cover that limit in seconds. So being on the roads, and especially being on the roads at highway speeds right now, is not a good idea in this very dense fog. And still waiting on an update. So, okay, let's see if there's any more questions coming in. If not, I'll tell you what, we are going to be here throughout the day. Matt is going to be back in a little bit later on this afternoon with a streaming weathercast later. We'll answer more of your questions. Keep them coming on Facebook Live, or of course you can. Some of our questions this morning have come in through email, so please feel free to email us, and we will answer them as best we can. And in the meantime, for everyone out there that is concerned about the immediacy of where the fires are, where they're burning, and what is your evacuation status, know that we have that front and center on our website, kgw.com. Be safe, everyone, and we will continue to keep you updated on all platforms throughout the day. Have a great day.